Hey, I see you made it back to another video. Thank you for clicking on this video, and as always, you're watching the Joey Cabana channel. This video doesn't really need an intro. Somebody requested this in the comments section of my last creature study, so today we are doing a creature study on the Skinwalker. This video is probably going to be a little different than most Skinwalker videos you're used to. I tried to only research from the original people that report seeing skinwalkers and having them in their culture. That happens to be the Navajo people of the southwestern United States. This is a tribe of indigenous Americans that have lived there for thousands of years. That is where the original Skinwalker legends come from. That is where I derived all of my information for this video. And I'm going to make a bold statement out here at the beginning of the video that 80 to 90% of the stuff that you think about Skinwalkers is probably false. And I was the same way until I started researching for this video. So first of all, I'm going to pop some pictures up on the screen. And I'm just going to say that this picture is not a Wendigo. I mean, I'm still on the track of the last one. This picture is not a Skinwalker. This picture is also not a Skinwalker, and neither is this one. These things are all fabricated, and they're made to be scary to our eyes. The real Skinwalker is much scarier than these pictures, I assure you. The Skinwalker is very real to the Navajo people. If you ask any person that lives on the Navajo Nation, I promise you that they have family members that know and have seen Skinwalkers. They do not call them Skinwalkers. They call them something different, and I will tell you later in this video, but it is a very sacred and respected name, and I won't talk about it too much. But just to get that out of the way first, I am going to be retelling you what you need to know about Skinwalkers in this video. And I just learned this, so I'm not putting any of you guys down. This is just as much me learning as it is you, and I'm excited to tell you this information. The native Navajo name for the Skinwalker is the Yinalushi, and I'll have that up on the screen for you guys, the Yinalushi. And the Yinalushi have a very specific part in their culture. There is a clear story of how these things came to be. The way that they came to be is, and you have to know some geography of the Navajo Nation. So I'm going to have some pictures of the Navajo Nation, some maps to let you guys be able to see what I'm talking about. The medicine men from the Navajo Nation, they have to make pilgrimages to the 4 sacred mountains of the Navajo people. They make these pilgrimages over very vast deserts, very desolate landscapes, very difficult terrain to travel very far for very long. And so this path takes a long time and is very hard on these medicine men of the Navajo tribe. So what happens is these medicine men go to the spiritual leaders in the Navajo people's tribes, and they, over years and years of learning ceremonial dances, songs, and practices, they learn how to shapeshift into wolves, deer, hawks, animals like that. Animals that can cover a lot of distance a lot easier than a human can. But the thing is, this takes a very long time to master. Not every Navajo medicine man can change themselves into a wolf and sprint across the desert. It just doesn't happen like that. It takes years on years and lots of pilgrimages where they have to walk on foot over these vast distances. And so you can see how it would be very, very tempting to be able to snap your fingers and immediately be able to change into a wolf, a hawk, a deer, something like that. And that temptation is exactly where skinwalkers come in to Navajo folklore. This is where the evil spirits tempt these medicine men. And if a medicine man is not upright in his practices, then he will succumb to the temptation of the evil one, and immediately the evil one will grant him ownership of this skill. He is able to shapeshift into whatever animal he chooses. He has to kill that animal, he has to skin it and wear its hide, and he immediately shapeshifts into this animal. You see the temptation here. It's very easy to not want to put in the years of work and dedication to learn how to shapeshift the right way, and the evil spirit can immediately grant you your wish of being able to shapeshift and cross these valleys and these mountains and this desert to get to your destination. The thing is, once you allow the evil spirit to grant you these things, you are no longer a medicine man. You are a Inagloshi, and your desires turn to evil immediately. You're immediately no longer a medicine man. You are controlled by the evil spirit that granted you this ability. One thing I failed to mention right there was that the evil spirit requires you to do one thing that I will mention today, and these beliefs are very sacred to the Navajo people, and it is very hard to do research about them if the people that know this information are not publicly outspoken about it. So I myself personally only know one of the rituals that is required to become a Yinagloshi from the evil spirit. That ritual is that when you decide that you want to have these powers immediately, the evil spirit requires you to kill a very close family member or loved one. This can be a brother, a sister, a mom, dad, uncle, aunt, anyone that you love closely or is close to you in your life. That evil spirit requires you to kill them for you to be granted these powers. Now, once you have these powers, like I said, you are controlled completely by the evil one. And really, in Navajo folklore, there's nothing too crazy about what these Yinagloshi do once they are who they are. They really love to scare and terrorize these villages, not villages, the encampments where the Navajo people would make their camp. One of the things that they like to do is use dog whistles or bone whistles to quiet the dogs so that they can sneak up on these lone houses out in the desert. The Navajo people in the Navajo Nation live very sparsely populated throughout. Your neighbors will be a mile to a mile and a half mile away from you. So they'll use these dog whistles or these bone whistles to get very close to your house. And then most of the time people report they hear them walking on the roof, walking across their roof, coming down. They'll scratch at their door. Now, if you are ever in the case where you see a skinwalker face to face, a lot of times they will blow bone powder in your face. And if you don't get a healing ceremony from a spiritual leader in the Navajo Nation, you will most likely either be cursed or in some cases die because of the Yinagloshi blowing bone powder into your face. And the way they do this is that when you see one of these coyotes or deer or hawks or something like that stand up and look you in the face, you are immediately almost supernaturally paralyzed and you can't move. Unless you are very skilled to fight against these, you will just be paralyzed there. You can't move. They walk up and they blow the bone powder into your face, and there's nothing you can do about it except go and get healed from this curse. That's about the extent of what these Yinagloshi do to people. It's nothing like crazy like you see on the internet of skinwalkers doing all kinds of things like, killing somebody's dog and shape-shifting into their dog. They're not going to shape-shift into something that doesn't benefit them some way. a shapeshifter or a skinwalker is not going to shapeshift into a poodle when it can shapeshift into a wolf or a hawk or a deer or something like that. It's also very uncommon, and this is when I say that most of the people that think they know stuff about skinwalkers really don't know anything, is that skinwalkers are rarely ever going to leave the Navajo Nation. The four sacred mountains that kind of square off the Navajo Nation, a skinwalker or Unagloshi is almost never going to leave those boundaries. That's why people that say that their dogs or their cats or some type of pet in their house is a skinwalker is almost 1000% not a skinwalker. People are a little bit ignorant about the fact that these skinwalkers feed off of the energy from the sacred mountains and the sacred land that they live on. And for most people, they don't really research deep enough to realize that most people are not in the region of the world that the Unagloshi or skinwalker would be anywhere near. I live on the East Coast and I don't have to worry a thing about any of these things. It is extremely rare that any of them would come out this far away from the Navajo Nation. And I think that's where most people go wrong. They don't dig deep enough to realize that you don't really have to be afraid of these things unless you go to the Navajo Nation. But here is where the video is going to conclude and also shock you at the same time. If you do go to the Navajo Nation, you will be shocked at how common stories about these skinwalkers are. I watched thousands of seconds. I almost said hours, but that would be an exaggeration. I watched several hours of content about skinwalkers on the Navajo Nation. And it is kind of insane how common it is for these Navajo people to see skinwalkers. Things that would scare any of us half to death is almost normal to them. It's just part of their way of life. I think the scariest thing that I heard over my time researching this is the very common belief and thing that these people see on their nation is that they will be driving down the dirt desert roads going anywhere from 60 to 90 miles an hour, going down these dirt roads, and there will be a person running beside them as fast as their car. I don't know why that's so scary to me, but if I saw that, I know I would be terrified. I don't know what I would do. I don't know why that's so scary to me, but just thinking about driving down a empty desert road and looking over and seeing someone running as fast as my car going 70 miles an hour, that absolutely terrifies me. And it makes me really cautious to go to the Navajo Nation. I've been one time to it. I was fairly young. I don't remember a ton about it, but it just makes it all the more scary that these things actually happen. I don't really have any reason not to believe that all of these accounts have some sort of basis. I'm not saying that I believe in everything that the Skinwalker can do. I was just putting out the information here, but I definitely believe that they aren't just making these things up. And I think that as much as I heard this specific story being a fact, I am very skeptical about going back out there because for some reason, over all the things that I've researched, seeing that would scare me the most. And I have honestly thought about it a lot, and I can't put my finger on it, but I think that that is probably the scariest thing that I've heard, just how common these things are out there to these people. But like I said, I don't believe everything that I just put out there. I'm still skeptical on some things. I am grateful to the Navajo people for speaking as much as they can about these things. I think it's very interesting, and I would not be against going there and seeing it one day. I just am shocked at how common these things actually are to these people. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure that you like and subscribe, because I want other people to see the true story of the Skinwalker and what they are really like. I think it's very beneficial to everyone to know what you're talking about and the original stories that back up what you're talking about. So make sure that you like this and you subscribe and you share it. That way as many people can see this as possible, because like I said, I think it's very important. If you made it this far in the video, you made it to the outro, and thank you for watching until this part, because not everyone does. The viewer retention is definitely a big pusher for the algorithm. So thank you for watching this. If you're still watching, I appreciate all the support that everyone has been showing. So make sure you guys keep liking and subscribing. And as always, thank you for watching.